Hello, I'm Dr. Nancy Mroczek, here again for Toward a Quality of Life. The show itself is named Toward a Quality of Life because the precept is that the life we are living does not have to be so deleterious to our health and welfare. We don't have to be passive experiencers of less than optimal conditions of living, and in fact conditions of living that keep on going down in quality. We know so much about who we are and why we do what we do. So we are trying to begin a conversation and begin an awareness that we can change our life circumstances, we can change what our quality of life is, in particular by paying attention to what our psychological environment is around us, what our environment is that influences how we think, feel, and act. And when I say our psychological environment, I mean not only the thoughts and emotions and references we get in interaction or just being around each other, but the physical structure, the schedules we live on, the kind of food we eat, the exposure to sunlight or lack thereof, etc., etc., etc. Now, I'm not today going to go into those facets too technically, but I will bring your attention to the poster on contingency, which says that a contingency, that is something that bears down having a result on how you speak and act as a human being. A contingency is an event to which your behavior is incidental. That can be someone saying something to you. It can be the atmosphere of the air surrounding you, the temperature, the humidity, the lights upon me right now, and many things. Or a contingency is also something upon which your behavior depends. So the idea is, from our knowledge of behavior, that our circumstance and surrounds affecting our thinking, feeling, and emotion and interrelation is an integral part of the net result we get as human beings. And we want to be aware so that we create contingencies that bring out the beauty, the harmony, the spirituality, the truth, the higher order growth and being of us. Now, we noticed in an introductory session and some other times thereafter so many negative contingencies, which I will briefly run through, that cause us grave concern. One would be the escalating stress that we feel. Another, the violence of our lives, the consequences of that violence, the anger we feel towards others, our job, family, government, and so on, the speed and intensity of how we proceed from one situation to another. We're going on a rat mill, as has been said, pedaling faster and faster every day. The fatigue, burnout, and cancers, which are pervasive and growing, the undercurrent of depression. Now, these things are pointed out not so that people become more depressed, but in fact by us pointing them out and starting an agenda where we're talking about them and being aware of them, we actually will come out of our depression by burrowing ourselves and locking our doors and making believe we don't see each other and acting like strangers towards each other and just worrying inside about things that are common to us all. The same problems worried 1,000,000 times over by every individual. By starting an agenda of speaking about all these things and awareness that we can create circumstances that make life a much more acceptable protocol, we do that by addressing these contingencies and being aware of them and discussing them and thrashing them around instead of harboring those fears and living with them deep down inside. We also have the shortchanging of our young children not having significant others that can be with them from morning till night on whom they can depend. Imagine the traumas of their young lives. Our seniors just left in nursing homes, and who is going to give them the personalized care that they need and deserve. The time that is so precious that we use on being, for example, stuck on a highway in traffic or waiting on hold on the telephone. Absurdities. This is your time in an hourglass, just sifting away right through your very fingers. This is your life that is supposed to be so great and bold and noble and beautiful. Also, of course, contaminants, the dioxins and the benzenes. We know our soldiers, our military people now experiencing some very first-hand effects from pesticides and benzene, the main chemical ring of petroleum. Also, many other toxins. We won't bother to go to the list right now. The list is so big it would take up the entire studio and then some. The pain of animals that have to undergo experimentation. We did one show on that. That is an ongoing sore and travesty on feeling and life that animals are enduring horrific circumstances in the laboratory, and also that, gee, the trees aren't blooming as they should, or they are dying, or that flowers get frostbitten too fast when they come out in spring, or that winter comes too soon, or that summer wasn't entirely like it should be. The fact that plant and animal life is dying or becoming highly irregular and not very good for our health and welfare, even just to make us feel happy when things are in order and we get the kind of days in life that we would love and expect. Now, recently, in the last few weeks, there have been some political conventions in our country of 2 conventions of the major parties, and some of what I'm going to say is spurred on seeing the fractionation and a lot of the animosities and divisive conditions that we are living under in this culture in which we can do much better than we are currently doing. One of the things that is very obvious when we look around right now is that some people, and probably more frequently persons who are into living and letting live, and perhaps more the couch potatoes who don't get up and vote and kind of let things roll along more, some people are more content to just kind of, let each person find his or her own way and not have opinions for anybody else. And even often not be sure of where their opinions are, not for lack of thinking about issues, but for just having more a live and let live kind of feeling towards things. They suffer, they believe, they worry, they go through all things that any human beings do, but that may be their position. On the other hand, some people like things scripted and concrete. They want to hold fast to something that they can use as a guidepost and know that it has some certainty and surety to be there and to follow. So we seem to have a problem to some degree with ambiguity, living with the ambiguity, the uncertainty, the not the black and white issues, but the shades of gray of which real life is composed. Either we are a country together or we are not. Either we can let each other live or we're not really a country as we proclaim to be. The issue seems to be ability to tolerate ambiguity. Some of us need everything scripted very tightly so that we have guideposts to everything we do. We want absolute answers, while other of us are content to more or less find our way and let every man be responsible for him or herself, that is to say, with the opinions that they hold, the beliefs. And the beliefs might be that, if someone is not harming me, then someone is okay, whereas others might need to decide in a very absolute term what is right, what is wrong, not only for him or herself, but for everyone else as well. So we have the right and the left, we have the black and the white, we have the rich and the poor, and we don't have enough ability to tolerate ambiguity and live right in the middle and grapple with the idea that many things can be right and wrong at the same time, and vice versa, or two things that might seem to be opposite to each other, in fact, can coexist and be equally true or untrue at the same time. This is the nature of the true history of what it is to be human, that things are often a lot more complicated and a lot more multifaceted and less simple and less direct. And when we get behind things, we see that unless we walk in the shoes and know the thoughts and ideas and sufferings of each other, we may be missing a lot of shades of gray. Now, a lot has been said in this political season about family and family values. And when Christopher Reeves said that it meant to him that we are all family, I think that was a very good prescription for us to give some thought to. Because in this country, if you just have family and your children are yours and very precious to you and you guard them with all your life, but you don't know or care about the children who are 2 feet away from you or down the block from you or across the street from you, what kind of society are you living in? We are all family, and we have to start gearing ourselves towards talking about this, towards talking about that what is individual to us as we walk in our shoes is also mutual to us, the same fears and concerns, and it's a rather arbitrary demarcation to decide who's in our life and who's not part of our life. This can only deteriorate and not even keep us a country as a people. Now, also the expression that goes with family is values, and Christopher Reeves had said that it means to him that everyone has value. I would also add that it also means perhaps that no matter who we are, we each have values, believe it or not. Those who might seem the most sinister among us, in fact, have some kind of value, some value that they've arranged by the contingencies they've experienced and the sense they've made out of life to the best of their ability. People are generally not walking around valueless, though the values they have may be shaped in ways that are entirely foreign to some of us. So we all come around to designing for ourselves, whether we do it on purpose or by happenstance, some kind of ideology or philosophy or belief that we live by. And regarding the family and the strength of the family, as long as we are not close with each other, as long as we draw lines that my family stops here and I don't know what else is out there, we won't have any kind of environment that will be feeling good for us to live in. But besides that, of all the talk being given to family values and the idea that you should hold on to beliefs, no matter how you hold to them or how you believe what people should or shouldn't do, in a technological society such as ours, the family is going to be continually ripped asunder more and more so, because unless people can stay in mutual contact and do things together and share experience, they cannot have a family. A family requires a solid, not just stated purpose of being together, but a solid shared experience that cuts through the hours and the minutes and weeks and months of every day and every year and every life. That's how you have family, not only individual family, but brotherhood. Brotherhood and family amongst all the people in all the streets and all the houses, everywhere, all the time. Now, another thing that's been bantered about is some concept that drug use among teens in particular has risen sharply in recent years. One point that must be made about the drug use among teens is that teens are bored, teens are upset, teens are depressed. Again, if we're going to talk about quality of life, if we're going to proceed to work on the contingencies that affect us, let us take some very plain, naked observations of what kind of contingencies and what kind of situations are leading to the results that we see. And how is it that drugs enter the country in millions of tons all the time, day in and day out, uninterruptedly? How could that be? Let us try to logically consider how such a situation could exist when we have satellite technology, for example, that could see a glove on the desert floor from far above, where we, when and if we put our mind to it, could find a needle in a haystack. How is it that drugs pour into the country every day? Okay. Also, some people resent the United Nations and the fact that we are getting together with countries and deciding things with them. This is a modern world. We are moving into the 21st century. There is no way around being more involved with our brethren everywhere. And it is not too judicious for us to think of major countries and minor countries, or developed countries and undeveloped countries, and sort of nonchalantly and without a lot of thought actually create ill will for ourselves that comes back to hit us in the face when we travel abroad for not having a larger, more ambiguous, if you will, more let's wait and see, stand back, deferential attitude towards others, more open attitude, more willing attitude towards let me see, instead of I already know or believe something and let me judge it in advance. Now, much has been said about politicians waffling, etc., or changing their positions. Let us also point out that politics is the art of compromise and concession. And if you are to lead a people, you must find out what those people want, hopefully, and you must be amenable to change to a degree, especially in a country as fractionated and fragmented as ours. Yes, we are living in a very fragmented country at the present time. I would say also that please, for those of you who just sit and watch and perhaps are cynical or think that nothing matters that happens politically to your life, please get yourself educated, get yourself up, make a choice, even if it seems to have no bearing on your life. Get up and think about politics. Politics is not a dirty word. Politics is the very serious business of how we live together. It's a never-ending story. Get up and vote, and get in the habit of getting involved and thinking about what's around you, no matter where you sit. Now, I can't leave this episode without, of course, making some mention for the poor First Lady. I'm neither a fan nor a non-fan, but at the time I'm taping this, our so-called First Lady is Hillary Clinton, and it's very sad, I'm sure, to women all over, no matter what their beliefs are, to see a woman torn down so viciously and maliciously. There is nothing that poor person has not been accused of, nor her husband for that matter, just out of spite, beyond what any reason would dictate. And cannot a woman stand up and just be a woman and just have her beliefs and just be a part of a party and just say what she thinks and stand tall and mean it? Can a woman not do that? Or is a woman relegated to pregnancy and the rabbit died and then everyone can laugh? Is that what a woman is relegated to? A giver of life who, when she gets pregnant, is considered an outcast of society if things are not in order according to some rigid system. And as Sojourner Truth said many, many years ago, ain't I a woman? Remember, too, that we had a show on teen love, and I'd like to add here that the saga of girls and boys in love continues to go on, and those of you who watch other shows on television will see plenty of females crying their hearts out for how the boys loved them and left them. I hope you saw Teen Love and Beyond, and I even heard one talk show host saying, "Girls, how can you be so stupid to let these boys have sex with you and treat you the way they do?" I will repeat to you again, girls, it is not stupidity. It is our biology. We love men. We want men. We die for men. We give up our lives for men. I'm telling you, use your head. Be very careful. Once you get wound up in a man or a male, you lose your head. Be very careful. It goes against your biology. And I'd also like to chastise the newspaper, I believe it was the New York Times, that came with the headline after the Dick Morris story broke, whereby a president's aide was found out to have told a prostitute some information. The headline had in it, "Bimbo gives information." Now, where are we in the culture that we can, in a major or any newspaper, refer to a woman who is a prostitute as a bimbo with abandon? Bimbo gives information. Read the headline. Girls, girls, you have a tough row to hoe. No pun intended. Now, I want to say one final thing. I'm sure we're coming down in time here. Yes, I want to say one final thing about an incident in the Boston Common when one of the swans was missing and it was returned one evening, and the press was at the Commons taping the return of the swan. It was evening, and the press looked for all the prettiest people with the prettiest little poodles or the little children, and it purposely searched the people it wanted to show on the news. And then it wanted them to say, "Oh, we're so happy." But when someone wanted to point out that it was very unsafe for the swans to be in the pond to begin with at the Common, the press did not want this. They refused it. This was a sad awakening to the creation of news and how the story was crafted, not reported, not conveyed, but crafted to be a little mini drama to have an intended effect. An effect that either says to you, "Oh, life is very terrible," or, "Wee, you see, there's some relief sometime," but none of which goes at the contingencies that are important to your very precious life, that is not just survival at all costs, but is supposed to be something higher order and bring you to a place that would be beautiful and say, "My God, this is a wonderful thing to be living." All right, finally, in conclusion, we always remember the animals who are suffering in the laboratory, and we help to spread our dissatisfaction whenever we can. We also know, whoever we are, wherever we sit, do not set a bad example. Get up, do something that you will be proud of. Do something at least that you feel is the straightest, most honest way for you to go, strictest way that you could believe. And whether you achieve your goal or not, try what would be in your heart the straightest way for you to go. And set a good example. Don't set a bad example. And struggle to make the most you can with your life. Finally, I would like to say that we will have many more shows coming. In fact, I plan to be live very soon, so we will be able to have an exchange. You'll be able to call, and we'll really be able to get talking and thinking. Think, think, think. Don't eat Wheaties for breakfast. Think. Sit at the breakfast table and think. Everywhere you go, look and think. And I have to say this for one of my camera people, Mr. Mike Mario, as we sit here on a September day with the weekend coming, he wanted me to say, "Patriots over Buffalo." So, until I talk to you again, I wish you all the best, and I wish you to be aware and to think and to know that we can go up in every distance greater than where we are now. We're down so low that progress that we can make is humongous. Thank you.
And it's one, it's us cosmic powwow, cosmic powwow, cosmic powwow, cosmic powwow.